And welcome back to Sports the NEMO Way, the Washington Wizards Bullets episode. And as you can probably guess, we are talking about the Washington franchise's all-time starting five. And yes, that will combine Bullets and Wizards, probably, I would assume. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I don't really have much in the way of housekeeping. All five of us are here, and we have no guest. So let's get things started. Drew, who is your Washington all-time starting point guard?
John Wall.
He's also mine.
He's also mine.
He's mine.
He's my shooting guard.
I could see it.
Okay.
So he's unanimous, though.
Yeah.
Good deal. Good deal. Oh, well. John Wall's 5-time All-Star. He's got 1 All-NBA. He's all-rookie, 1 All-Defense. In Washington, he averaged 19 points, 9 assists, 4 rebounds, 1.7 steals, and 0.7 on blocks. For about a 9-10-year stretch in Washington, John Wall was the guy. When I thought of the Wizards and them, it was him and then whoever I guess they kind of put around with him there towards the end. And then he got hurt there towards the end of his stint. I think he hurt his Achilles.
Well, I think he's had knee trouble and he tore his Achilles.
Yeah.
And that kind of derailed his career.
I always liked John Wall. He was fun to watch in Washington.
He's extremely exciting, very athletic, one of the fastest players in NBA history. He's very, very fast.
Yeah, and he kind of played he obviously scored as well, but he was also a guy that put up some pretty big assist numbers.
His passing
Yeah,
kind of got
yeah.
underrated. People didn't really talk about how great a passer he was. People just always talked about how athletic and fast he was, and he was a tremendous defender and one of the better passers in the entire NBA for a while. But it just kind of got overshadowed.
His best year averaged 23 points, 10.7 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 steals, and half a block.
He was him and Bradley Beal. The most success the Wizards have had since Wes Unseld and Elvin Hayes was with John Wall and Bradley Beal. Unless there's just something I'm forgetting, but they almost made the Eastern Conference Finals one year. They went down to Game 7 of the second round one year against Boston, and I think they lost on like a game winner or something like that. I don't remember, but they lost in the Game 7.
That was the year in Game 5 or 6 that John Wall jumped on the scorer's table and was
Right.
going nuts.
because he had a game winner.
Yeah.
And they were pretty good. You were almost made the Eastern Conference Finals with John Wall and Bradley Beal, and then a bunch of mediocre to bad players, and it was pretty decent. They had a couple decent role players besides those two, like Marcin Gortat and Nene, but nothing overly crazy.
Yeah, I think one of the Morris twins was there.
Probably at some point, yeah. They've been just about everywhere between the two of them.
Yeah, Paul Pierce was there for a year.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
good old
yeah.
fat Paul Pierce.
He didn't he hit the series winner in the first round of that
Yeah, I
playoff
guess
run?
He had some big shot, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. He was. I think he had a decent year there. I don't think he was like trash, but he was.
That was like close to 40-year-old Paul Pierce.
And he was fat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
He was all right.
I'm fat. He was there, and then with the Clippers for
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think nobody else has anything too much to say about John Wall. We're talking about a pretty solid player, not an all-time great or anything, but a pretty nice player. All right. Well, Ray, I guess you're the only one left with the point guard. So who is your point guard?
Gilbert Arenas.
He's my shooting guard.
He's my shooting guard.
He's my shooting guard.
Okay.
Thought it was kind of perfect because, let's be honest, he wasn't really a point guard. He was a shooting guard.
Yeah, and he wouldn't pass the ball to anybody.
No, he jacked that shit up all day,
We
every
got
day.
the same guys for our 1 and 2, so
Yeah.
so they're both in.
And Gilbert's nice sized.
So yeah, he's 6'4".
He really was a shooting guard. He just happened to play the point on those terrible Wizard teams they played for.
Yeah. And I was just thinking it. Either one is interchangeable. It really didn't matter. So I just put Arenas wherever.
No, it was fine.
Let's see. His stats are 25 points, 4.2 rebounds, 5.7 assists, and almost 2 steals a game. So added with John Wall, a little extra defensive padding. Scoring is there. I said, why not? Fucking Bullets.
Yeah. He really had that 3-year span where he was an offensive machine there, averaging between 25 and 30 points or something like that for like 3 years. And he was a chucker. He shot the damn ball a lot. But back then, I don't think they really had a lot of good players, did they?
No,
They were always like a first-round
It's
exit.
him and Antoine Jameson.
Yeah. Was Tyrone Butler there for a cup of tea?
They had Larry Hughes for a couple of years. They had Cron Butler for a couple of years. Arenas is part of that team. They had the first ever team to have 3 guys average over 20 points a game. And I believe it was Arenas, Butler, and Jameson.
But Butler and Jameson weren't there overly long with Arenas, were they? Didn't they move around?
I don't think Butler was there overly long period.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. I don't remember exactly how that worked out.
Because Jameson was like with Golden State at first, and then he goes to the Wizards for a little bit. But I was trying to figure out the timeline of when all those guys are coming in and out. It's kind of hard to remember.
And they also had Deshaun Stevenson there for their big, because they had a couple playoff runs. Because remember, they went toe to toe with LeBron 2 years in a row in the playoffs, and Arenas and LeBron went like back and forth hitting game winners in one of those. Like it was like 4 straight games where a game winner was hit by either LeBron or Gilbert Arenas.
I don't know this for sure, but I always felt like they always lost in the first round. I just can't remember fully off the top of my head.
Oh, and their center was Brendan Haywood.
Oh, I remember Brendan.
Yeah.
I just remember them like they would always win like 45 games, and then like I always felt like they just would always lose in the first round. But
good enough to make the playoffs so that they can get a lottery pick. And
Yeah.
I mean, they might have won a round one time, and I just don't remember. But
And correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't he the one that had the gun in the locker room incident or
Yes.
whatever?
Yes, it was.
that and knee trouble pretty much just ruined his career.
Yeah.
They in Gilbert Arenas' 3 best years, they made the playoffs all 3 years, and they were lost in the first round 2 of the 3 years.
Okay.
But they made the second round 1 year. They beat the Bulls in the first round, and then lost to the Heat.
Well, there's one playoff run where he, one of those years, the 05-06 run, he averaged 34 points per game in that playoff run. Now, his overall efficiency level in his playoff career as a whole is really, really bad. But that one series, he shot 46% from the field and 43% from 3 and averaged 34 points a game. But for his career in the playoffs, he only shot 41% and only shot 30% from 3.
Well, in all reality, we have a very inefficient backcourt here.
Yeah.
And they're going to shoot a lot, so the actual Hall of Famers on this team may not see a lot of the ball because Arenas and Wall are going to shoot the ball like 40 times between the two of them.
Wall always set people up.
better have some good rebounders.
Gilbert didn't really do anything but shoot. He didn't play defense. Didn't really pass a lot. At least Wall, you're going to get great defense and great passing.
All right. Well, let's circle back to old Willard here. Who is your small forward, sir?
Well, this one was kind of a difficult one for me. I thought there was a lot of decent guys that had a little cup of tea there that you could throw in there, and I just went ahead and pulled the trigger on Bernard King.
As did I.
I just thought he was a good, solid option. I mean, it's Bernard King. You know, he's a good, iconic NBA player, Hall of Famer.
And if he makes it, that would be his second team, correct?
Yeah, we put him on the Knicks.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
thought.
But I think his numbers were somewhere around like 22, 4 and 4.
Yep.
22, 4,
22,
and 4, yeah.
4.7, 3.9.
I think he shot, was it like 47?
48.
48%. So yeah, I think those were like his last good years right before his career ended. I think he had like 1 year somewhere else after the Wizards stint, and then his career was over.
New Jersey.
Yeah, but he was still really good there. I think that followed his Knicks tenure, I believe, and
Yeah, just slightly less points.
yeah,
I mean, he got hurt with the Knicks, and then he came.
yeah.
But he was still able. He was not like he was just washed yet. He still put some good years in Washington.
It was kind of funny if I remember correctly when I was looking at his stuff. When he comes to Washington, he has a couple down years, and then like as time goes on and he's getting older and near the very end of his career, he had a couple monster seasons point wise.
His last season in Washington, he averaged 28.
That's his second last year, right?
Yeah.
Playing. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he got a knee injury or something.
He hurt his knee again.
Oh,
Yeah.
so yeah.
He missed the entire 85-86 season with with his knee, and then like you said, he comes back and has with one more season with the Knicks as a quite a down, not a terrible season, but the season before that he averaged 33 points a game.
Yeah.
So now he comes back with the Knicks, averages 22. They let him go, and he's with Washington, only averages 17, and then he goes 20, 22, and 28 to finish out his Washington tenure.
So he obviously still had something left in the tank, and with the Wizards, I mean, there was a couple other guys that I thought you could probably throw on your list, but I just felt comfortable, with the Hall of Fame guy score you over 20 a game efficiently, and I thought it was a decent pick.
He also made one All-Star team in Washington.
I'm guessing it's the year he averaged 28.
Yeah.
Well, who do you rascals have?
Is it me and Ray that didn't have him?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I had Antoine Jameson.
Okay.
Thought about it, but no.
You didn't have him, Ray?
No.
I know who he has.
Oh, God. It's like Bradley Beal or something.
It might be.
Just wait, Wade. Just wait.
So yeah, I went back and forth on a couple of guys as well, but I ended up deciding on Jameson for a couple of reasons I'll get to in a second. But his numbers in Washington are 20 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, on 44% from the field, 36 from 3, and 74 from the free throw line. I went with Jameson because number one, he can shoot the 3. Number 2, he provided something other than points. And I really like Antoine Jameson.
Yeah, I like it too.
Not necessarily because of anything he did in the pros, but more of a North Carolina connection. Sorry, he was a nice pro. He spent a lot of his career being a good stats, bad team guy. He played in Golden State, obviously before Steph, and then made Golden State worth a crap. He played in terrible Golden State. Then he was in Washington, Dallas, and Cleveland. I mean, so
Cleveland the years without LeBron.
yeah, Cleveland pre-LeBron. Yeah. So like you're looking at, his best team is probably the Washington team that made the second round of the playoffs. So, but he made a couple All-Star teams in Washington. That's pretty much it as far as like awards go. He was also part of that team that went head-to-head with LeBron for a few years in the playoffs. In 06-07 in the playoffs, he averaged 32 points a game, 32 points, 9 rebounds, on 47% shooting. So he had himself a nice little playoff run there. Didn't do any good, but, So, yep, I liked me some Twan. But yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add on Jameson. So, Ray, who is your small forward?
Michael Jordan.
I mean, I remember from last week.
Yeah.
Ray gave us a little sneak peek, and since Wade wasn't here,
Oh my! Yeah,
Oh.
well,
I thought maybe this locker room needed a veteran presence. And I mean, really, he didn't really have bad stats. I mean, 21, 5, 4, and almost 2 steals. I mean, it's not like the Wizards were sprouting off fucking greatness from that.
I mean, his stats aren't terrible.
No, they're not.
I mean, they hold up.
He's not the efficient player he was in Chicago, but
Yeah.
he does put up some decent stats.
Yeah, so just whatever. Put Jordan on there. Shit.
You got anything else to say
No.
about it? I mean, he made 2 All-Star teams in Washington. I don't think they made the playoffs either year.
Probably not. I mean, he had sad Rip Hamilton team, and who else
Yeah.
was with him?
Kwame Brown.
Kwame. Brown.
Kwame. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
his whole mental
Kwame's
state.
Brown, the one that's played with what, Kobe and Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally mind fuck for 2 franchises.
Yeah.
Yeah. They missed the playoffs both years.
You
Sold
hear
a
that,
lot of
Bud?
tickets.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan's race.
I kind of like it. Believe it or not, I have a Washington Wizards Jordan jersey.
I think we all
Yes,
know.
we saw it.
We all
we
saw
saw it in your
Oh yeah, I did wear
video
it.
for this
Yeah,
podcast.
that's right.
I forgot I wore that.
8 sizes too small.
Well, my
Check it
shorts-
out on
my
our-
shorts were even smaller.
You can check out Wade's small shorts Michael Jordan video and on our Twitter. Did you put
TikTok, yeah.
TikTok. Is it on Facebook, right?
Probably.
Yeah. So we have some social media for the podcast. I don't know how much we've ever talked about
I'm
that.
really showing off my bod in that one. I'm not looking too good, but it's all right.
All right. Well, there's our wings. So I think we made it up. I think Uncle Doug's the only person who hasn't named anybody.
Yeah.
Uncle Doug, who's your power forward?
Elvin Hayes.
Mine as well.
Yeah, he's mine.
Yes.
I got Hayes as my center.
Oh, okay. So Elvin's in. Averaged 21.3, 12.7 rebounds, 1.8 assists, a little over a steal, almost 2.5 blocks. Had 2 rebounding titles, 2 times All D. Just a solid power forward in the day.
I mean, he's top 10 all time in points and rebounds. So, I mean, I think that kind of just, it's the fucking Wizards. He's the best player on the team.
And he was there for 9 years, so
Yeah.
he played quite a while with Washington. So
Well, I mean, I'm not counting Jordan because Jordan didn't go. But the Wizards really have 2 Hall of Famers, and he's one of them.
right,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
and their only title in their franchise history came with him and the guy that's going to be our center.
yeah.
So, I mean,
Well,
leading the charge.
not race sitter.
Well, we get the point. Yeah, he's an all-time great power forward. We all had him in our top 10 power forwards in the beginning of our podcast.
oh yeah,
We kind of took a fat crap on him.
Yeah, he did get his his effort or something, or his
Yeah,
mental state or something got shit on a little bit, but he was really talented.
I know there was like an ESPN or Sports Illustrated article where I brought like snippets of it and read it to you all, and like it kind of opened up a can of worms, and we kind of bagged on the guy for an hour. Because even Mark was here for the Elvin Hayes episode, and Mark and Uncle Doug were both like, I don't remember that during it.
right, yeah, I did.
It was kind of crazy, you're top 10 all time in points and rebounds, and you won a championship, and people still frowning upon you that much. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I think we've pretty much covered what we need to with the whole Elvin Hayes there. 'Cause none of us removed him from our top 10.
No,
He was he stayed in our top 10 power forwards.
A little bit on a couple people's lists.
Yeah.
Everyone still had him for sure.
All right. Well, Drew, who's your center?
What do we want to do? Race power forward?
Oh, I'm sorry, Ray. Who's your power forward?
Chris Webber.
Oh, good.
T-Web.
Oh, so okay. You just left one of their 2 Hall of Famers off the team, right?
Yeah, whatever. It's the Bullets.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Is the Bullets? They only have 2 Hall of Famers.
Most iconic Wizard ever is Wes Unseld.
Yeah, we'll go a little
That's
present
all right.
day.
Did Weber just play like 1 year there?
4 seasons.
He played 4, really?
Did he take him to an Eastern Conference Finals, though?
Oh, I don't remember. I don't know.
Yeah, that team wasn't any good. I didn't think.
No,
I don't
well,
remember.
I thought one.
who they have? They had like Cabot Cheney and Juwan Howard,
It was him and Juwan Howard and Rod Strickland.
Rod Strickland.
Did Weber have a
They
team?
missed the playoffs his first year.
Did Weber have a team only played like a year for or 2 years
Golden
for?
State.
Golden State.
They missed the playoffs his second year. They made the first round his third year. And they missed the playoffs his fourth year. So they made the playoffs 1 out of 4 years.
I think didn't they have Rod Strickland?
That's what I said.
Oh, you said him.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I can tell you their roster real quick. I just picked a random year. So, Mitchell Butler, Rex Chapman, Calbert Cheney, Kevin Duckworth. I didn't realize he played in Washington. Tom Gugliotta, Juwan Howard, Don McLean, Jim McIlvain, George Mirasan, Brian Oliver, Doug Overton, Scott Skiles, Larry Stewart, Anthony Tucker, Kenny Skywalker,
Oh, Skywalker. Yeah.
and Chris Webber. So Strickland wasn't there that year.
Didn't Manute Bol play there?
Yeah.
At some point.
That's where he played there, whether it was during this time or not. I just clicked a different year to see if I get some other stuff. Harvey Grant was there. Tim Legler was there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, legs.
And here's Rod Strickland and Ben Wallace.
I read a talking about Manute Bol and the bullets and stuff. I read an interesting thing about him the other day that said he was from such a poor area and like a third world country and stuff that he had no birth certificate or anything and all that, and he no one knew his age. They just made up a birthday and gave him an age when he came in the NBA, and then they looked into it more later on and down the road. And they said he was probably between 30 and 40 years old when he came in the NBA, even though they said he was like 22. They said he could have been up to 40 years old.
Holy cow.
Damn.
No one knew. They said he at one point they said he started marking his body. He would like give himself like a scar somewhere. I don't remember where on his body he would. They said about somewhere between every 5 to 7 years he would give himself a scar to mark a certain amount of what he thought was a certain amount of time. And they said when he came into the NBA, he already had like 5 or 6 scars. So he was probably in his mid to late 30s, maybe, even though he was supposed to be like 23 when he came into the league.
Wow. I don't know that we ever said it. Weber's numbers in Washington are 21 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and a block on 50% shooting, 33% from 3, and 56% from the free throw line.
Oh, God. His free throws are that bad?
Well, I think Alex talked about it a few times about his inconsistencies from 3 and the free throw line. Kind of all over the place.
Yeah, at times really good, at times not so good.
All over the map.
Yep. All right. Well, anything else to add on C-Web, Ray?
Yeah.
All right, Drew. Who's your center?
Well, Wade already said him, old Wes.
That sounds mine
Yep,
too.
Mine too.
Yeah, mine too. Sorry.
He's in the Hall of Fame, 5-time All-Star, 1 rebound champ. He's got a title. He's 1-time All-NBA, All-Rookie. He's got an MVP, Rookie of the Year, Finals MVP. He's part of the 75th anniversary team. His career numbers, 10 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists. They start keeping track of blocks like halfway through his career. 0.6 steals is 1. Again, not halfway through his career. Like Alex has said, he's their other Hall of Famer. He won that championship. He was the Finals MVP. So
Did he win MVP of the league as a rookie?
Yes.
I thought so.
He won Rookie of the Year and MVP in the same year.
Yeah. He's a real case of a guy that you can't really look at a stat sheet to tell how big of a difference maker he was. He did a lot of stuff that didn't show up on a stat sheet and really helped his team win in a lot of ways. Defense and physicality and leadership and
Well, when you listen to all-time great players talk about playing against him, the things they talk about are like when he set a screen, it felt like you were getting hit with by a brick wall.
Well, they said
You
Wilt Chamberlain was scared of Wes Unseld. Wilt Chamberlain wasn't really scared of anybody.
And Wes Unseld was 6'7",
Yeah.
and
That's the crazy thing.
playing against Chamberlain, Jabbar, Russell, Walton, Cowens, Reed, Bob Lanier, like all-time great centers. Like I just named like 5 or 6 guys that made our top 10 lists, and he played against them at 6'7", won a championship, won an MVP. Like
A lot of guys had a hard time with him because they couldn't move him.
Yeah.
And he would, I'm pretty sure I've read it in a couple different places, like, not only can you not move him, but he was going to move you, and he was going to beat on you, and you couldn't do anything about it, and he was just...
And he's also supposed to be the greatest outlet passer ever.
Yeah,
I don't know how you measure that, but I mean,
Yeah.
everybody raves about his outlet
Yeah, he's
passes.
good at it.
It's always him and Kevin Love.
Yeah,
are the ones that are always
Kevin
great at it.
Love.
But he's a guy that really, really affected winning in a positive way, even though he wasn't a guy that averaged, like 25 and 10. He was just, and he's, in my opinion, the most iconic Wizard. I think lots of people think of Wes Unseld, especially older people that got to watch him play a little bit and stuff. Wes Unseld is the Wizards. But he's kind of their iconic guy, seems like.
Yeah, I mean, he's still part of. He stayed part of the franchise the rest of his life. Like he's been in the front office. He's been an advisor. Isn't their head coach Wes Unseld Jr.
I
now?
believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
I also read an article here recently about Ben Wallace. Ben Wallace wasn't going to even make the NBA, but Wes Unseld was the one that got him in because everyone wanted to make Ben Wallace into a shooting guard or a small forward, which obviously he could not do due to his lack of shooting and overall ability to play a wing. And he ended up playing very briefly over in like Spain or something, and he got a phone call from Wes Unseld telling him to pretty much get his ass back to the United States and come give the Wizards a couple workouts because Wes Unseld believed that even as an undersized center like himself, that Ben Wallace could make it in the NBA. And it took a few years, but he eventually ended up being one of the greatest defensive centers ever because Wes Unseld believed in him, and Wes Unseld himself, being a very undersized center, saw that same potential in Ben Wallace, and that's how Ben Wallace's career started.
but again, we're talking about an undersized center that everybody talks about how unbelievably strong he was.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, just look at it.
Yeah.
That dude was a gym rat. He was, yeah. And that's another guy who, they list him at what they list Ben Wallace at, like 6'8" or something, 6'7" or 6'8".
I think they list him at 6'9", but
That might be it. But they said he's about like 6'6", and was playing center because they in the article I was reading, they said he's really about 6'6", maybe in a smidge bit shorter, but I think probably about 6'6". But they have a picture of him next to Bill Russell, who was about 6'9", and there's a pretty decent sized gap there. You can Bill Russell's got him by easily a few inches, and so I mean he was probably around 6'6" and was a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year at playing center. So pretty impressive.
Indeed. All right. Well, we now have our players. We don't have a single position that's decided. We do have a couple guys that have made the team. Elvin Hayes is unanimous. John Wall is unanimous. Gilbert Arenas is unanimous. So essentially, our guards are decided. We just don't have their positions worked out, I guess. But other than that, we need to decide small forward and the big guys.
Well, Ray, are you cool with having Wall and Arenas? Having Wall
either way
point
you want
and
to
Arenas
throw
a
it.
shooting guard? Okay.
Yeah, it don't
That
matter.
way we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah,
So
I
Wall
like
can
that.
be the point guard and Arenas be the shooting guard.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. All right, so guards are decided. That was simple. Thanks, Ray.
Yep.
All right, so do we want to tackle the big men or do we want to tackle the small forward?
Well, we can just go ahead and do this. I'll go ahead and defer to Wes.
Okay, cool.
Well, again, thank you, Ray.
Yeah.
Mate thinks he's
So we got the other Hall of Famer on.
Yeah, so now the big men are decided. So now all we have to do is decide small forward. And by the way, maybe it's just me, but small forward seems to have been a problem for us here recently.
yeah, it's been kind of the weakness of some of these later teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it happens. Well, who wants to start at small forward? One of you guys who have the one want to make your case or something, or give your opinion on something?
I mean, I can just say what I was thinking. I mean, I kind of said it earlier. It was I was looking for somebody to help spread the floor with some shooting, provide something other than scoring because of our backcourt being so ball dominant and scoring wise. And obviously, I knew I was going to also add Elvin Hayes, who was going to want to score the ball. Fortunately, we also have Wes Unseld, who is a very unselfish offensive player, so we don't have to worry about that. I think that's kind of nice on some of these teams where you have a guy that's not ball dominant but an all-time great.
Yeah,
It's kind of nice because it
makes the team flow better.
yeah. But that was kind of my reason for going with Jameson. I didn't look at Jordan, I'll be honest, but I did look at Bernard King. I also looked at previously mentioned Karan Butler. There was somebody else I looked at too. I can't remember who it was. Maybe Rip Hamilton, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, there were several there, but yeah, it's
Yeah, I mean, if we're being just blatantly obvious, honest, I don't think there's a huge difference between any of these guys. They all do a couple things the other way.
They're all right about 20 points a
Yeah.
game.
yeah. Jameson does have the rebound advantage at 9. The other two guys are like 4 or 5.
I just didn't really. I mean, Jameson's a really good player. I honestly don't care if we go with him, but I didn't really. I mean, you have Hayes and Wes Unseld, so I didn't really think a guy with another rebounded a decent amount really mattered that much. And Jameson could shoot pretty decently, but he also did a lot of his scoring in the paint. Which, when you have Hayes and Wes Unseld sitting down there, I thought that would kind of, I don't know. You just don't want 3 guys standing in the paint. I don't know. Maybe Jordan's the play because Bernard King cuts the basket all the time. I don't know. Jordan operating the mid range.
Yeah. Sounds like a great plan.
Fuck it. Put me on Jordan.
Yeah.
Gosh dang it.
Who cares? The Wizards. Might as well make it fun.
Well, I mean, the greatest player of all time really ought to make 2 teams. I'll go with Jordan.
Yeah.
Woo! What just happened here?
We're having fun.
Yeah.
Put Jordan on the Wizards, baby.
Drew.
I don't even know what to say. I want to.
I mean, who cares?
Alex, it's the Wizards. Put the goat on the list.
I
Frank.
like it. You go into the Jordan
Yeah.
train? Woo!
Can't say no to Michael.
He's still North Carolina, Alex.
Yeah, you still get a North
You're
Carolina
still getting
boy.
a North Carolina guy.
It's the Wizards, man. Who cares?
It doesn't make them a top 5 seed or anything.
No, he doesn't. None of these guys do.
That's my point. Let's go with the
man.
funnest guy. It's Jordan.
All right, fuck it. Michael Jordan it is.
There you go, Ray.
You got her
So
done.
I think this is the first time somebody other than Wade convinced us to put somebody that was a 1 on the team.
Yeah, I had a good run.
I don't know
there.
how much Ray convinced us. We just said, oh.
I kind of did the convincing.
Yeah.
There wasn't much. Just like, oh, screw it.
I noticed you censored it there, Drew.
Yeah, I'm not.
Language.
There's probably enough vulgar language between. Me
I
and
don't make
Alex.
these episodes explicit.
I mean, I just closed my page. No, I mean, we get our explicit rating every week, but it's mainly me and Wade, and then Ray goes off on these like curse-laden tirades periodically.
Dude, Ray, I miss what you
Where he's
said.
like, "This guy's a fucking bitch," and he's like just going in on somebody, and you're like, "Yep, Ray's on it today."
Ray, I miss your notebooks when you used to fold.
Me too. I kind of miss Ray's
Because
opening
some of them
statement.
would be short, but then the one time I see you flip the page, I'm like, oh
Yeah.
boy, here we go.
If he had a player that Ray didn't like, his opening statement was usually pretty entertaining.
Or if he loved him.
Yeah, it was pretty good stuff. I miss it.
Oh, good times.
Well, I mean, D-Bake, good old Dalton, good old guy that's been on the podcast. He said his favorite part of football was Ray going against all the legends that we would always put on.
Yeah, like I'll never forget our first ever football episode. Ray's like, "I don't have me and Joe Green," and we're all like, "What?"
He got it again a couple weeks later with someone. I can't remember.
Was it
yeah,
him?
he did a couple
It was
times.
Baltimore. He had Ed Reed, but he had him at like 3 or 4, and Biggie gave him a lot of shit on the couch or something. It was something like that. But
I kept hearing the MVP, Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
he pulled out the Hall of Famer, Jonathan Ogden, and Hall of Famer Ed Reed on you a couple times too.
Yeah.
You did have a really nice Flacco comment. I'll give you that. But anyway, sidetracking.
Yeah.
Oh,
Whose turn is it?
we forgot to talk about it.
Oh,
It's either you or I.
he did one?
He went.
He did last
Those
week.
two went last week.
Oh,
that's-
I guess I missed the
I mean,
last couple episodes.
which one of
Well,
the three?
I
of
can
us
do
is
one on top of my head. It's fine.
Okay, go for it. All right. Well, as we had a partially silent, partially forward conversation, and we apologize. But our all-time starting five for the Washington Wizards is John Wall, Gilbert Arenas, Michael Jordan, Elvin Hayes, and Wes Unseld. I don't think that's going to quite win the tournament, but they could do some damage, I guess. Maybe a first-round victory, maybe. I don't know. I'm not even going to compare to the other teams. We're too close to the tournament. We got this. The tournament will be next week. We're very much looking forward to it. After this episode, actually, we're going to get our bracket set up. So that'll be interesting to see. And still working on some guests for next week. So, yeah. I'm looking forward to that. So, now the Washington Wizards portion of our episode is over, and we will move into what if. And Wade will have a what if for us. Wade, what you got, buddy?
Well, I had this one backed up for the first episode. The I just use it. What if the Warriors declined Red Auerbach's trade request that landed them Parrish and Kevin McHale?
I gotta look up this trade, man.
Because obviously that led to their dynasty in the 80s. Because, without Parrish and McHale, I'm not sure they get all those championships. But
I'm sure Burke is. Well, yeah, I'm sure Burke still squeak out one, but maybe not.
I mean, it just depends on what they end up doing besides
So-
that.
The Celtics traded the rights to Joe Barry Carroll, who was the number one overall pick,
He was a good center.
and Ricky Brown for Robert Parrish and the third pick in the draft, which turned out to be Kevin McHale.
Indeed.
So that is the full trade.
I mean,
Well.
it would affect a lot throughout the 80s, I believe, and especially down the line when like in 86 or whatever was their best overall team. I mean that for that era, like that loaded Celtics team from 86. I mean, they were kind of like what the Warriors were to basketball like back then. Like the Warriors, the way they stacked up their team with all these phenomenal 3-point shooters. That was kind of the Celtics of the the 80s where you dominated in the paint, and they had Parrish and McHale and Bird and Walton, and they just destroyed you down there. And it was it led to one of the greatest teams of all time, and obviously them and the Lakers ruled that entire decade of basketball.
And Celtics went to like 4 or 5 straight finals there with those like Larry from like.
I mean, yeah.
I was trying to think. I mean, they didn't just win the finals, but I mean, they were there all the time.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
them and the Lakers. I mean, they got what 8 of the 10 championships to that
yeah.
decade.
Sixers won what?
Sixers won one, and the Pistons won one.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
So I have questions here, first off, and I guess I'm going to point them at Uncle Doug. Why the fuck don't I know who this guy is, Joe Barry Carroll? Because he's like got seasons of 24 points a game. He's averaged over 20 like 5 seasons. Like his numbers in Golden State for 7 seasons are 20 points, 8 rebounds, almost 2 blocks, shooting 48% from the field, like 75% from the line.
Oh yeah, he was a real solid center. I don't know. I guess just good player, bad team. Nobody didn't after he left the Celtics. Nobody really heard. I mean, Golden State wasn't much during that time period. I don't think.
Yeah, I kind of expected him to be a bum because
They traded him away. Yeah, normally
they traded him like he was the
Yeah.
number 1 overall pick, but it like got traded away. I didn't know who he was.
Right.
I mean, yeah, I'm looking at it
trying
like
to think
with you. I
who
mean, he
drafted
looks.
him. Boston didn't draft him, did they?
He was drafted. Oh well, he was Golden State drafted him because
Right.
they swapped draft picks.
Okay.
And before it was pre the draft, so it wasn't Joe Barry Carroll wasn't officially traded for Kevin McHale because they didn't know those were the people that were being drafted at the time of the trade. Those just
Okay.
happened to be the two people that were picked with those draft rights that were traded.
Okay.
Parrish and whoever that other guy, Ricky something or another, were the actual people involved
that made
in the trade.
transition, yeah.
Well, I will say this. I don't know that he's Robert Parrish, but it looks like Joe Barry Carroll could have done a pretty good job of filling Parrish's shoes
I don't really think he was probably as tough as Parrish.
and like defensive minded, maybe.
Right, and that's probably what
They wanted
Celtics
him-
were
yeah.
looking for.
Well, they wanted some.
They were probably looking for that little more edge, a little tougher.
They're trying to find something a little bit tougher to ref up Kareem. I mean, that's probably what Utterback was thinking. He's thinking the Lakers.
Well, and not just Kareem, but the whole East. I mean, all the stuff going on in the
Well, I
East.
mean, the East was brutal. I mean, it was a super physical conference,
Right.
you know, and you had to not even before you got to the Lakers because they hadn't won anything yet. So I don't know if they were how much they were thinking of the Lakers. Maybe they were, but I mean, they had to go through Moses.
Yeah.
Now they had to go through. I don't know. I guess Lambeer probably wasn't in the league yet.
Yeah, I don't remember. Probably not then.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't know much about Joe Barry Carroll. So
I remember watching him in college, and then him being good, but then he just kind of went to Golden State and disappeared.
I don't know what the fit would be or the exact comparison, but I feel like just by looking at this, I feel like Joe Barry Carroll. I don't know. Saying 3 names also throws me off. Could have been at least a good center for this team, even if they had to play slightly differently. I mean, you may even be able to make the case that he's more offensively talented than Parrish.
Probably
Yeah,
was.
he's definitely-
Probably wouldn't have been as tough, but more offensive talent. I think the bigger thing was when they got McHale.
Yeah,
That was the bigger part of the deal. I mean, I think if Joe Barry had been there with McHale, I think the Celtics would have still been good, but they had to get McHale.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. So, like in 81, the Celtics won the championship. Okay, in 81, Carroll's averaging 19 and 9
Mm-hmm.
for the Warriors.
Right.
And McHale doesn't really play that year.
Right. But what did Parrish average?
Parrish, yeah, I don't know. But what I'm saying is Cornbread Maxwell,
Right. Which they already had, yeah.
yes, they already had. So would they have still been able to win in 81 with Bird and Maxwell and Carroll instead of Bird, Maxwell, and Parrish?
I like it'd be a
I
possibility.
think it's a possibility, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other guy, I don't really remember that well. I mean,
It's
Ricky Davis or something
Ricky
like that.
Brown.
Ricky Brown.
Yeah, I don't know this Ricky Brown guy either. Does somebody want to look Ricky Brown up while I'm looking at Parrish's numbers? All right. Parrish's numbers in 81 are 19 points, 9 rebounds. So same amount of points, 1 less rebound.
What was the longevity like for that other guy? The 3-name
Carroll?
guy. Yeah.
I mean, Carroll played 12 seasons, but he peters out faster than Parrish.
Okay. Because I think Parrish is interesting. 'Cause I think Parrish, his contributions to those Celtics teams, I think often get overshadowed. Because I mean, obviously Larry Bird. Everyone, obviously you should talk about Larry Bird first, but people usually hover to McHale right after that, and McHale had a higher peak than Parrish, but Parrish's ability to be 15 to 19 points and 10 rebounds and 2 blocks for like 10 to 12 to 13 years straight. And he was just this constant, really, really good player for the Celtics, and he was always there, and he was always playing, and he almost never got hurt. He was a really good defender, and just he was just that constant, really good presence that I think was really important for those teams.
Yeah, I agree. He's remarkably consistent.
Yeah.
I think my statement in the 50 Greatest Players episode for Robert Parrish, was Parrish was a good scorer, a good defender, a good rebounder, a good shot blocker, a good mid-range shooter, all those things. He just wasn't overwhelmingly great at anything.
Yeah.
I agree with everything. I mean,
He was just really good for a long period of time.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Derek Jeter of basketball.
The Derek Jeter basketball.
I love it, Wade, but so many people are going to hate that.
That's what it was. Derek Jeter was just good for a long time, and he didn't have one.
And happened to be on a really good team.
He didn't have one great attribute. He hit for a good average. He'd get you a good amount of home runs for a shortstop. He'd get you 75 to 85 RBIs. He'd score a good amount of runs. He'd steal a few bases. Like, that's literally, he's Parrish is the Jeter of basketball.
Yeah, and in the 80s, so from 80 through 89, he obviously played all those years with the Celtics. Parrish averaged 18 points, 10 rebounds, an assist, a steal, almost 2 blocks on 55% shooting.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So which draft does this Ricky Brown come out in?
1980.
1980.
You want the stats? Or you got them?
I can't find him.
Okay, so it's Ricky Brown. It was spelled Rickey.
Oh, gotcha.
He come out of the 80 draft. He spent 3 years in Golden State. His stats are 5.2 points, 0.3 steals, 0.4 block, 0.3 assists, and 4 rebounds. So pretty
So that
trashy.
sounded like that one was.
His career numbers are 4 points, 3 rebounds.
Yeah.
Okay, so that one, they definitely got an upgrade.
Like it.
Yeah, and he's. Yeah, they couldn't have replaced McHale with Ricky Brown.
Yeah. Well, I think a big thing that I think a guy that really would have a chance to really enhance his legacy a lot if Parrish and McHale don't show up. It sounds like the 81 championship, it was still a possibility for the Celtics. But after that, going forward, it's kind of up in the air. It really just depends on what other transactions they would make, really. Red Auerbach wouldn't just sit there.
Right.
He was very active, but But a guy that made a lot of finals but always came up short until he got more help was Dr. J. Dr. J made, 3 finals before he won that one with Moses, or 2?
I know he made the finals against Portland when Walton won.
Yeah.
And they made it against the Lakers.
In 80.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he go to another one after that? I thought there was one more like in the 80s. Well, I guess they won in 80?
83.
So maybe it was a little bit before what I was thinking. I was more into the 80s. Maybe it was more in the 70s then. But maybe they get, maybe some of those other teams, or maybe those 76ers get more than one. Because, we talked about in some of the past episodes where, they win that championship with, 3 or 4 Hall of Famers, and then they add Charles Barkley the very next year.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, but they really seem to, I think they fell off, though, after that. Like,
so
as a team.
the Celtics won their next one in 84 or 85?
84.
I think 84, yeah.
Yeah, they won 84, 86. Lakers win 80, 82, 85, 87, 88. Yeah.
All right, so the 1984 playoffs. Trying to find a bracket here. Eastern Conference Finals. The Celtics beat the Bucks.
Ooh, is that Sidney Moncrief?
Yep.
Right before he messes up his knee or whatever it was.
Let's look at that series if you like. The Bucks. Marquise Johnson averages 20 points. Moncrief averages 17, 6, and 4 with 2.5 steals. Paul Pressey averages 11. Bob Lanier's on that team. He averages 10 and 7. Mike Dunleavy averages 14.
Mm-hmm.
Junior Bridgman averages 14.
I like a good, decent overall squad. So, who else was really good in the East back then, Uncle Doug? Like, obviously, we said the Sixers and it sounded like the Bucks had a year or two in there. Besides the Celtics, like who could have maybe made a run to the or had more success in the East? I'm trying to
Yeah,
think.
I mean, it always came down to the. Well, I mean,
The Pistons were later.
right,
In the
This would
decade.
have been what, Isaiah's rookie year or something like.
pretty early on. Yeah, they didn't come till later.
Because they didn't get really good until
Till
like, what,
late 80s.
87?
Yeah.
Well, the
When they-
Pistons
Early it
made the
was
playoffs
Celtics,
this year.
Sixers, Lakers. You know.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of Eastern Conference teams that would have obviously been affected by the Celtics at that time. But obviously the 76ers, but after their championship, if I remember correctly, they fell off pretty bad. Like they were like a first round exit the next year or something like that.
Yeah, I think you're right. The Pistons in this year, so this is 84.
Mhm.
Isaiah, Lambeer, and Vinnie Johnson are all on the team at this point. Isaiah averages 21, 11. Lambeer averages 15 and 12. Vinnie Johnson 10. But
They don't actually start making deep playoff runs till a little later though, don't they? Or is it around that time?
I think in 86, so 2 years later, I think that's who the Celtics beat in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Well, yeah, because they do the whole Eastern Conference Finals thing with the Celtics, and then they do it to the Bulls, and then it's kind of
Yeah.
I just can't remember because I knew when Isaiah first comes to the Pistons, I think there's some real growing pains for a little bit, and they slowly build up until they're continuing with the Celtics, and they eventually get over that hump, and then they win their titles.
Yeah, because the Celtics beat them, smoked them in the Eastern Conference Finals in '86, and then win the championship. And then in '87, they squeak out. That's when Bird steals the ball. You know that famous Bird steals the ball underneath the DJ. Yeah. They squeak out a victory in '87, but then the Celtics lose in the finals. And then in '88, the Pistons go to the finals and lose.
Yeah.
And then the next 2 years they win.
Because '88 was the Phantom Foul, right?
Yeah.
On Jabbar. Wasn't
Yeah.
that it? Yeah. Oh, someone we're forgetting in the East that always got stopped by the Celtics, the Hawks.
The Hawks, yeah.
We forgot about the Hawks. Does Dominique make a finals run? Maybe.
I don't know, did Dominique ever get out of the first round?
Well,
He never made it too far.
You got
You don't think he really would have never made the second round? Really?
I don't know.
you got young Michael playing the Celtics.
Yeah.
I mean, again, he's not going to win a championship or anything, but he might make a.
Yeah.
His team could look different if he has a little bit more team success in the playoffs.
It's like 85 to 89, the Hawks won 50 games or more each season. Won a division title 86 to 87, going 57 to 25.
Because they had some pretty good players there for a while. I mean, obviously Dominique, and they had Kevin. What's his name? Was it Kevin Willis? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Spud Webb and
They in '86-'87, that year they had their best season. They won their first round series against Indiana and then lost to the Pistons in the second round.
Gotcha. Yeah. Because weren't there always those huge battles between Dominique and Bird? There
Yeah.
was a few of those where they battled it
I
out.
don't think Atlanta was ever considered a contender though. I don't think they were ever good enough to be like, they're going to win a championship. I think that was more like Uncle Doug said, the Celtics and the 76ers, and then the Pistons later on.
So they were the Sixers now.
Yeah.
They're really good in the regular season. They're probably going to win a playoff series, but they ain't going to win a championship.
We know they won't win.
Yeah. So
I just saw a playoff series that Dominique averaged 19 points a game in.
Ooh.
So
Sounds about right. Dominique, Joel Embiid.
I don't know if Dominique made it a habit of being that bad all the time.
Well, I think Wade hit the nail on the head a few minutes ago, though. I think the 81 finals appearance and title is still in play. but because McHale didn't really play much of a role in that, and Joe Barry Carroll may have been able to fill the Parrish role-ish, maybe a little bit different, a little better offensively, a little worse defensively type situation. But Maxwell and Bird were the main, at least offensive cogs in that team that year, and they're both still there.
Then we've talked about before. We talked about how it took Kevin McHale a while to get going. So,
Yeah.
I think that 81 is still fine.
And I do believe once you take Parrish and McHale out of it, that 84 and 86 are much more of long shots. But I also believe that, like Wade said, Red Auerbach was not just going to sit there.
That dude
We're
was
talking about
always
one of the
making
greatest GMs ever. He was going to make moves. What those moves were, I obviously have no idea. But not only that, but the 80s were a time when the Celtics and Lakers would win a championship and have the number one overall pick the same year. It happened over and over again in the 80s. So obviously Auerbach would have made a move to bring in somebody. I mean,
And got rid of nothing.
Ricky Brown.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we all thought this other guy was nothing until we looked him up tonight.
That's really the key to the whole trade is Parrish offset Joe Barry Carroll, but Ricky Brown gave him nothing.
Yeah, because especially I think is it 86 when McHale finally hits that peak. 'Cause
Yeah,
it
I
takes
think
him a while to
it's
get there.
86. He averaged like 26 points a game.
Yeah, that's like by far his best season because he's a huge, whichever championship it is where he's finally hit his stride, he puts up like he's a monster that one year at least because you have like him and Bird, and then obviously you still have Parrish and DJ and Walton and Ainge, and I mean they were fucking loaded to the gills.
Well, Parrish about outplayed them all.
Yeah,
I mean, he hung around forever.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
he was on Michael's first championship team.
Right? Yeah,
he played till like 94. And he was
he stuck around forever.
Was it longer than that?
97.
97. Yeah, and he was
He
drafted.
was on that Bulls team.
Oh. I thought
He wasn't on Michael's first team. He was on Michael's second to last team.
And he was drafted what in late 80s or 90s or 70s? Jesus, 70s.
Yeah, he was his first year in the league 76.
Yeah, dang, that's crazy.
So I mean, he was playing in the league a couple years before Bird even.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Bird only played what 12 years,
Yeah,
and then Parrish played like 20 some.
yeah,
Isn't Parrish still the all-time leader in games played
I believe so.
with like over like 1,500?
I don't know. Hold on, did AC Green break that record?
Ooh, maybe. Well, it's like
Ooh, he may
I know
have.
Parrish, AC Green, and like Vince Carter are all up there near the top.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't know. I thought in my head I thought it was Parrish, but AC Green.
It is. Robert Parrish is number 1. Kareem is 2.
Oh.
Vince Carter's 3, and Dirk's 4. So AC Green's not even in the top 4. But I know AC Green does have the record for like consecutive games played. I think it is.
Yeah, maybe.
But Parrish is at 1611, and Jabbar is at 1560. Carter 1541, and Dirk 1522. So I mean, Jabbar played like 21 seasons or something stupid like that too. So like 21 seasons in the NBA, and you're still like a little over half a season behind Parrish, like as far as games played. It's a lot of games, man.
Yeah,
That's
it
so
is.
many games.
Especially when you're a big man. Man, those
Oh,
games
yeah.
are hard on feet and knees.
Definitely.
Durability is a skill. It is
Yeah.
an important skill. So yeah.
Well, I'm looking for AC Green on the all-time list. AC Green is 30th
Oh.
because after Dirk is Stockton and Malone back to back.
Yeah, that makes sense. They played forever and they were pretty durable.
Garnett, Moses, Kevin Willis, guy we just talked about, and then there's LeBron.
Well, I mean, LeBron's probably going to play at least, I'd say, a couple more years. So
If
he's-
LeBron plays 50 games this year, he'll pass Willis and Malone and Willis, Malone, and Garnett. And he would be close to Karl Malone.
I'm gonna say, I bet LeBron's at least going to play a
Yeah.
couple more years at least.
He's he's 200 games away from Parrish. I don't know that he plays long enough to get 200 more games.
I guess it just depends on how many games he's going to be playing in those seasons.
I mean, that would be 3 full seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think this point he's going to play completely full seasons, but, is he going to get to 65? Or, like you said, is he going to sit around 50? I mean, the extra 15 games a year does add up. I mean,
And the last couple of years, LeBron's had injuries. He's not just load managing. He's had some injuries. I mean, he missed quite a few games for that groin injury a couple of years ago.
I think he's got hurt, at least a minor injury, every year he's been a Laker.
Yeah.
Yeah, he keeps getting hurt as a Laker.
I mean, I think a lot of them just, minor stuff, but
It's finally catching up with him.
yeah.
Well, if the Lakers can come up with enough young guys to fill his spot so he can rest more,
Well,
he might be able to go. But I think a lot of it, too, will depend on what happens with Bronny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, if he, LeBron's going to try. His goal is to play with him, so.
Yeah, I don't. Have they said if Bronny can even play?
I haven't heard anything.
The last thing I heard is USC said they were going to be patient, and the doctor said there's a chance. So.
I mean, with that situation, I think you have to be patient. You don't
Right.
want to rush someone
Yeah,
out
don't
there for
rush
that.
it,
Yeah, definitely
That'd
not.
be bizarre.
Not only that, but I don't know. But, I mean, obviously, I can't get in Bronny James's head, but for me, I think there'd be a little bit of a mental block there.
I'd be scared, man.
Yeah, you'd be scared. It's not, well, is my knee healthy? Is my knee going to hurt? It's, am I going to die?
Yeah, like,
Like,
I went to
my heart-
practice. I went
Will
to
my heart
practice.
just stop
yeah.
while I'm playing basketball?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
the poor kid hasn't even got to play a college basketball game yet, and that happened.
Well, and then already all
pretty
the pressure's
unfortunate.
on him.
Yeah.
Being LeBron's son, I mean.
Right, yeah.
We're not talking about any regular athlete here.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it was the same way when Jordan's son grew up. When I think at least one, maybe two of them played in college, and people swarmed them and paid them all that attention, and they weren't that good.
No.
But they got all this attention and pressure, and I think one of them in particular, I think he actually had a decent amount of ability, but I think he kind of shriveled underneath all the attention and stuff. But it's just the way it goes.
that'd be tough.
There's a lot of them coming up too. Like Dwayne Wade's kid's supposed to be really good, and Shaq's son is in the G League. All kinds
No,
of
Shaq's
stuff.
son had a heart condition, too. Wasn't it Shaq's son that had a heart condition?
I don't know.
There's something happened to him
I
because
don't
he was at UCLA and he had to quit because of some sort of
Mm.
condition.
Yeah, he might have. I don't remember. It might have.
All right, well. We done with our what if?
I think so. We're talking about random shit now. So.
All right. Well, we appreciate you tuning in for this Washington Wizards episode. We would appreciate you tuning in next week for the.
Shut up. Alexa, be quiet. Alexa, I said shut up.
In the episode, hurry! Alexa's taking it over.
Don't say it again.
It's talking by itself. Who cares?
We would appreciate you tuning in next week for the tournament of all these teams we have put together. Hopefully, we'll have a couple guests here to help us decide who would win in the tournament. We just want to have some good fun with it. And like we've mentioned the last couple weeks, after that, we'll move on to football to talk about the 5 greatest players at each position, which we also think will be fun. And don't forget to email, rate, subscribe, give us some comments, whatever you want to do. And thanks for tuning in to Sports the NEMO Way.